Hi everyone, welcome to Just In Case. Today we're gonna learn how to play Disney Lorcana with locations. Lorcana is a game where you take your magical Disney characters, items, actions, and these horizontal-looking location cards and make them a deck which will help you in a race to 20 lore. Some card abilities give you lore, but the most common way to gain it is by playing characters and sending them on quests. Your deck should consist of a minimum of 60 cards with the most of 2 ink colors. If you are unsure about how to build your own deck, don't worry, I got a dedicated video on that. But to get started easily, you can always opt for a starter deck. To set up the game, place your chosen deck on the side of your playing area, leave some space underneath for the discard deck, and position your damage and lore counters there as well. On the bottom is your inkwell, where you can place your cards face down as inks. These will be used to pay for the costs of the cards that you play from your hand into the playing field above it. Each card in the game has a cost indicated in the top left corner. In order to play a card, you must pay its cost using the ink from your inkwell. During each turn, you are allowed to play one card from your hand into your inkwell if that card has a swirl symbol around its cost. This indicates that the card is inkable. On the other hand, cards without the swirl symbol cannot be inked. When you decide to ink a card, you must show it to your opponents to confirm its validity, and then place it face down in the bottom row. Once the card is inked, it becomes a single resource that cannot be recovered regardless of its previous cost. Think of ink as the currency of the game that can be spent by exerting it to pay for the other cards. Exerting refers to the action of rotating a card by 90 degrees, which is indicated by this symbol. When a card is exerted, it remains in that state until the beginning of your next turn. At the start of your next turn, you ready all your cards, including your inks, so that you can spend it again. For example, if you have 3 inks, you can use 1 ink to play Fire the Cannons, which has a cost of 1, and then use the remaining 2 to play for the LeFou card, which has a cost of 2. Now let's examine the different types of cards that you can pay for with your ink. Actions. By spending a certain amount of ink, you can play an action card. Once the card is played, its effect takes place and then it is discarded. Some examples are Fire the Cannon and Friends from the Other Side. Draw 2 cards. This last one is a unique type of action card and a very thematic one, as this is also a song card. These types of actions can be sung by a character with at least the cost of the action, by exerting that character. Items. Unlike action cards, items remain in play after they are played and can be immediately utilized. Dr. Facilier's card can be exerted to reduce the ink cost of the next action card you play this turn by 1. Magic Mirror is a relatively pricier card, as it requires the payment of 2 ink to play. However, to activate it, you not only need to exert it, but also pay an additional 4 ink, and then you can activate it to draw a card. At the beginning of your next turn, items will also become ready, and you can use them again. Characters. Probably the most exciting part is playing character glimmers into the field. When you play a character, you can't use it immediately, as the ink, so to say, has to dry. To signal this, you should place these a bit behind already existing characters. Glimmers that have been casted in previous turns are available to use. A character will stay in play until some effect removes it. Each character has labels that might be referenced by other cards, such as Queen, King, Prince, Princess, Ally, Villain, etc. The label Floodborn also signals a difference in their play mechanism, as they can be shifted out to the field. If I already have an Aladdin on the field from previous turns, I can shift Aladdin Heroic Outlaw onto the existing one. This means I can play him on top of the other Aladdin for cost 5 instead of 7. These 2 cards move together from here on and count as the top character. Now this Aladdin doesn't have to dry and ready to use, but it will keep all the character statuses that the previous Glimmer had, such as damage. You can use characters to sing songs, challenge, quest, or be exerted to activate their own ability. Once you exert a character, you can't use it until it's readied again by some effect or by the start of your next turn. When a character quests, you exert the character and gain the lore stated on the card with the ink drop symbols. When challenging, you exert the character, choose an opposing exerted character, and this is very important, you can only challenge exerted characters, deal the damage equal to your attack power, and receive the damage from their attack. If the dealt damage is larger or equal to the character's willpower signaled by the number inside the shield, the character is banished. If it's less, place damage tokens on the card. This damage will remain there until an effect removes it, or the character is banished. Locations are a card type introduced in Into the Inklands. Once you paid the cost, you play them horizontally. You may move characters there for this cost. There is no exertion when moving a character to a location, and you can just move it to another location in the same turn, as long as you can pay for it. The character doesn't have to be dried, but you will have to play the character to the field before moving it to any location. There is no limit on how many characters can be at one location. Characters can challenge exerted characters at location or the location itself. The location willpower is shown here, but the location can't fight back as they don't have strength. When a location is removed, the characters there just remain in play without it. This lore-looking symbol is the location's lore. This is being gained at the beginning of its owner's turn, whether there are characters at the location or not. That's most of what you need to know. To start the game, shuffle your deck and draw 7 cards. You can mulligan before starting to play. This means you can choose any number of cards to discard from your hand and draw back to 7, then shuffle the discarded cards into the deck. First players skip their first draw, and the game can begin. In the beginning of your turn, you ready all your exerted characters, set your drawing characters to ready position, draw a card, and gain the passive lore from your location cards. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for following along, and happy loring everyone!